afternoon.
Good afternoon, also.
So today we are
afternoon.
going to hi everyone. So today we are going to continue what we have talked about in our last class. It's about intimate relationships. Okay, I remembered that in our last class we stopped here, right? About breakups. Okay. So when we break up with someone, when we finish one relationship, it's very common that we feel sad, we feel kind of preoccupied with what went wrong, and it's very common that we tend to blame ourselves and think about the happy days you've been through together, right? And during this time, like people will tend to think about these happy memories rather than the sad memories or the things that made them angry or the things that the partner did that disappointed them. It's kind of like an illusion after the breakups. And it's very important to realize that it is an illusion because you are in the negative emotion state. You kind of are roused by all the sadness. And it is a very good way to go through the breakup is that to think about the things that the partner disappoint you. Think about the reasons that why you break up with each other. Here are some things you can remember if you are going through the breakup in a relationship. The first is whatever you are feeling now won't last forever. It takes time before you feel that you have moved on, but you will. And you eventually will move on. And the best way to move on is to, probably is a very cruel thing to say, is that you find the next one that you feel in love with. And it's okay to feel angry or hurt, but be sure you are safe in how you express your feelings. Don't act out of anger or do some despiteful things. Don't control your own emotions. And if it is your decision to end a relationship, it doesn't necessarily make the breakup any easier or to deal with. And it's still normal to feel upset and to miss the other person. To just accept all your feelings and don't just block them away. Or try not to feel embarrassed or to worry. And the end of the relationship doesn't mean that there is anything wrong with you. Don't blame yourself too hard. Sometimes it's just the two of you. It doesn't work. It's not like your fault. Probably there will be the other person that will, and you guys will be more fit for each other. And you don't have to be in a relationship to feel happy. And it's better to not be in a relationship than to be in a bad one, right? And remember that breakups can have a positive side, and you can learn more about yourself, like your weakness, like your strength, and what you want from the future relationships. You can know what's your own standards, what's your values, and you can develop coping skills, be more independent. And there's some things that can help you feel better after a breakup. To let yourself be upset, to accept feelings, dealing with your emotions, look after yourself, to keep a healthy lifestyle, and be realistic when thinking about your ex and the relationship. It's common to remember only the good things, like what I said before, and try to limit how much you think about your ex by finding things that will distract you. Give yourself some space. Keep busy. Distract yourselves, especially when you are free. You can just call your friends, you can hang out together, and take time out of you. Treat yourself, talk to friends and family, and remember, don't use drugs or alcohol, this kind of maladaptive coping skills, and just give it time. Things will be better. Okay. So now we are moving to our next module is healthy relationship and unhealthy relationship. Some issues in a relationship and how we deal with them. First, it's very important to know what makes a healthy relationship. There are some important characteristics, and you can check if you are currently in a relationship. You can check if what characteristic you two have already had and what characteristics that your relationship is lack of. So the first is self-awareness. Is to know, accept, and trust yourself. And in your healthy relationship, you'll feel comfortable being yourself. You don't need to this kind of change yourself to a direction that you don't really want to. But you feel the pressure, you feel the extra strong pressure that you should change, you're not good enough. And that probably there is something goes wrong. And the second is honest communication. Discuss the things that are important to you. And listening to your partner is also a good part of communication. And equality, having shared power within the relationship helps to keep the relationship safe and fair. And when I mean power, it's not necessarily something that's outside. For example, the appearance, or like the social status, the money, the family background, or like your scores, your abilities. It's not necessarily these kind of things, but sometimes because different relationships, they have different power dynamics. Probably in some aspects, your partner is better than you, but as other aspects, you are better than your partners. I mean, it is important that these kind of things will be in a balance. And the two of you, you all accept like the power dynamics between the two of you. Sometimes like the power is not balanced, but the two of you, you are all accepted and feel comfortable, and that is also fine. And next is respect. Each person values the other, accept differences, understand the other person's boundaries, and support, being there for your partner to listen during times of need and celebrate when good things happen in life. Trust, being able to count on your partner and believe they will be honest and follow through on promises. And it is important that the trust is not only about trust your partner, it's also about trust yourself. Trust you, you have the ability that you can care about your partner and give and trust yourself that you have a bright future. You can support each other. And in many relationships that it failed not because the partner is about like people, they don't trust themselves. They feel they don't deserve this kind of love or relationship. And they will kind of avoid the things that a partner did for them. And what are the signs of unhealthy relationships? First, trying to control your partner, afraid of disagreeing with each other, criticize one another in front of others in public places, or in face of friends, family members, or probably some physical violence involved, like push, shove, grab, hit, or throw objects, ridicule or call names to blame the person. Or call names is a phrase which means that criticize, yelling, shouting at the other person. And if you be aware of these kind of signs, probably your relationship have many issues that need to be dealt with. So next, we are going to talk about in more details about some common issues in relationships. The first is jealousy. Jealousy aroused when a person perceives a threat to their relationship of sense of self. And jealousy is often a problem in romantic relationships. When it's severe enough, it can even lead to some arguments, abuse, physical fights between couples, and breakups. And people often feel many strong level of emotions when they're experiencing jealousy, such as feeling hurt, anger, distress, or self-blaming. Emotional components include anger, humiliation, fear, depression, or helplessness. And studies shows that jealousy is most likely existing in people with low self-esteem, unhappy with their lives, or persons with a preoccupied attachment style. It's very common in relationships that we feel jealousy. It is because we love them, right? And because of love, we can experience the emotions in a very high level. When we are happy, we feel extremely happy. And when we are sad, we feel extremely sad. When we feel jealousy, that is also can be very overwhelming. It's common, but if you find yourself or your partner always feel jealousy, or like the frequencies became so large, so high, and probably it becomes an issue. And studies show that men and women have different styles of responding to jealousy. Like both men and women, they will feel inadequate at first, feel hurt, feel angry. But then women try to make themselves more attractive, like them are more likely to take a positive approach, try to improve themselves. But men then tend to seek outside relief when they feel jealousy. For example, they probably will to find someone else or to have an affair with other to make the partner feel jealousy too. And jealousy can also lead to domestic abuse and murder, and this behavior is usually carried out by men. However, men are not the only ones to blame. Study also shows that women have confessed more than men that they have deliberately tried to cause the partner to feel jealous. So, like women, they were more likely to deliberately to make them partner feel jealous. This jealousy equals love. Like when I said before, jealousy is very common in relationships, but when it becomes too often, or when it is used to control the partner or to control the relationships, of course, it's not love. Because the essence of love is caring about the other person, caring about them life, caring about them soul, caring about them want to make the other person feel happy and comfortable. And the source of jealousy is usually insecurity within the relationship. Jealousy is about real or imagined feels. For example, the fear of being alone, fear of being embarrassed. And the best way to deal with jealousy is to communicate honestly with your partner. And when I said before, one of the reasons of people will feel so jealousy is probably they need to feel powerful, they need to control. And the need for power and control in our relationships, it often leads to abuse. And abuse or violence is not a normal part of a relationship. And when it's evolved to physical fighting, physical abuse is never okay. It's kind of like a red line. And there are different types of violence or abuse. There are emotional abuse, physical abuse, or sexual abuse. In the dimension of behavior, sometimes the abuse is not easy to find out. It's kind of like in the social media, the digital abuse sometimes is more easy to identify, like stalking or like verbal abuse. So here are some examples of abuse in intimate relationships. Emotional abuse, making a partner feel insecure, like put downs, criticisms, humiliating, attacking the person's capabilities, saying nobody wants you, and some mind games, some gaslighting, making the partner to feel guilty, making it to feel they're crazy, or blaming the partner for things that go wrong, or having the partner to wait by the phone, or deliberately make them wait. And then isolating the partner from friends and families, pressuring the partner to give up activities, sports, work, and hobbies, and keeping tabs on the partner when they go out. I was trying to get in touch with them, like making 100 calls. I always want to know when they're going, who they're meeting, what's going on with them, and no privacy at all. We're using intimidation, like breaking objects, punching walls, threatening looks, threatening to hurt the partner, threatening the partner's family, friends, or pet, or destroying treasured belongings, or acting extremely jealous, not allowing the partner to talk to anyone of the opposite sex, or accusing a partner of flirting or having sexual intercourse with others. And here, the physical abuse is easier to identify, like shoving or pushing, squeezing a shoulder, restraining by holding a wrist or holding on a hand tightly, shaking, pulling hair, slapping, punching, kicking, choking, pushing out of the car, and sexual abuse, like any unwanted sexual contact, comments, or gesturing within a relationship, manipulating a partner into doing something sexual that makes them feel uncomfortable, having and making sexual intercourse without a partner's consent, or making some sexual videos without their consent, or uploading them on the internet. If it's you, you're being abused, you are in a relationship that involves all the components I've talked before, just get help and talk to someone that you trust. But if it's your friend or someone you know that is being abused, here are some things that you can do. The first is listen to what your friend has to say, and don't be judgmental. It's very important. Don't make them feel ashamed. Don't make them embarrassed. It's very common that when we see our friends, they're in a very unhealthy relationships, and we see it very clear. And it's very common that we feel so angry about our friend. We want them out of the relationship, but your friend just kind of being immersed in the relationship, being immersed in the situation, and can't see clear. And we are kind of be judgmental about our friends or be angry at our friends. But it's easy that to make them feel ashamed. Don't make them feel ashamed. Support them because they're in an emotional state that, like normal people, they cannot easily understand. They can feel like very afraid, and they think their emotions towards the partner who is abusing them is love, but actually it's not. But it takes time for them to realize that. And they probably have already feel bad enough. The next is tell your friend that you are available when they need to talk. Don't push them to talk about the private things to you. Just tell them that if you want to talk, I'm always here for you. And make it clear that you care and that you are worried about them to show your support. Your support is not necessarily like some specific words or some behaviors, just show them your attitude. Many times, show them your attitude that you want to help them can bring them courage to talk about you about things that they're afraid of to talk to anyone else. And next, talk in private and don't gossip about what your friends has confided to keep the secret. And be specific. Refer to certain incidents you have witnessed and not to the relationship in general. And talk about what you saw and how it made you feel. By doing these two things, you can help your friend to realize what kind of situation he or she is really in, to help them realize the facts quicker. And tell them the ways you believe the specific behavior is having an impact on them. Like, when she put you down, you seemed embarrassed, and then you made excuses for what she did. Or when he was yelling at you, you seemed frightened. Just state the truth without making judgment, without criticism, and then can make them feel better and care about their feelings. And like what I said before, sexual abuse often involved like making sexual intercourse without consent. And what is consent? Consent is the willingly giving permission to words or actions for something to happen. And consent must be informed and explicitly stated, clearly stated. And silence is not consent. If an individual does not say yes, it must be assumed that he or she is saying no. Because sometimes when we're in a situation that we feel extremely uncomfortable or when we are frightened, like our body response can be like we can't move, we can't say anything, we can't make any expressions. and we'll be in silence. And that doesn't equal to that we are saying yes. We are thinking the situation is okay. Probably it's because that we are so frightened, we are so scared, or we are so overwhelmed, we're so helplessness, right? So silence is not consent. And here are some tips that you should be aware of when you are online dating. Because recently, online dating has become more and more common. So the first is do not share personal information or home address with the other person. And the second is only meet in public places until you are absolutely certain this person is who they say they are. And the third is take someone with you to meet them the first few times. Or if you feel awkward, like the three of you are dating, you can just bring your friend that following you secretly and see what's going on. And when something happens, your friend can come out and help you. The last is let a trusted friend know where and when you are meeting this person, just in case. And it's also important to know your relationship rights, which can help you prevent from the unhealthy relationships. Be aware of the signs of the unhealthy relationships, and if you find them, just to be quick, stay out of the relationship. Stay away from them. Healthy relationships are honest, respectful, and responsible. Partners don't pressure each other to go against their personal values. And both people involved feel good about themselves. Like by believing in your right to be treated well, you are taking important steps to developing healthy relationships. So, what kinds of personal rights that you have in a relationship? You have the right to refuse requests without having to feel guilty or selfish. You have the right to express your feelings, including anger, as long as you don't violate the rights of others. You have the right to be competitive and to achieve what you want to achieve. You have the right to do what you want to do. And don't let the other person to limit what you can accomplish in your life. And sometimes the request from your partner, they are disguised by the name of love. But if the other person really care about you, care about your life, care about you, what you can achieve, care about your potentials, they will never make the request which will limit your life. Okay, to remember that. And you have the right to make your needs to be as important as the needs of other people. And you have the right to decide which activities will fulfill your needs. Don't let the other person decide it for you. Make your decisions on your own and just think about them. And you have the right to have your opinions given the same respect and consideration as others. You have the right to change your mind. You have the right to be independent. You have the right to have privacy. You have the right to be treated respectfully, and you have the right to be cooperative and giving and not to be taken advantage of. And you have the right to be safe. So here's all the contents in the module of intimate relationship. And now we are going to move on to our next topic, time management. And to make our next module more like not separated, suggest that we take 10 minutes break now, and after 10 minutes, we'll move on to our new topic. Is it all right?
Yeah, sure, 老师, sure.
Okay. So now we're going to take 10 minutes break.
OK，老师，好的。
Hi everyone, time for the class.
Yes, 老师, we are
是的，
here.
老师。
Nice. So before we start our next module, I'm going to show you a very great video about jealousy, how jealousy destroys your thinking, because in jealousy, we always in the irrational state. It's not bad to be jealous. It's just a psychological state which can distort our thinking and make us feel so irrational. And jealousy is a window into the insecurities and problems inherent in any relationship. If you work with through jealousy in a very healthy way, it can be the start of a conversation that leads to an improved relationship. Okay, and here I'm going to show you the video about the psychology of jealousy.
Now, how would you feel if you thought your sibling was your parent's favorite child? Or if you suspected your partner had fallen in love with somebody else? Almost everyone has experienced a time where they felt jealous. Feeling a little jealousy may be harmless, but it can also be a powerful emotion that can take complete control over its subjects. This is a field guide to bad behavior, where we'll look closer into the psychology of jealousy and learn how to tame this green-eyed monster. Jealousy is a deeply upsetting feeling that often arises in response to threats to a valued relationship. It's a constellation of emotions, ranging from fear of loss and anxiety to anger, sadness, and humiliation. Jealousy is commonly seen among siblings who compete for their parents' attention, as well as in friendships and romantic relationships. Psychologists agree that jealousy is a universal emotion, and it's even found in species other than humans. But the origins of jealousy in human relationships aren't easy to pin down. Evolutionary psychologists have suggested that jealousy evolved to protect our social bonds. So it's important to realize that jealousy itself is a normal reaction, and we shouldn't feel ashamed about it. It's a wake-up call that there's danger, forcing us to take steps to preserve a valued relationship. But jealousy also arises in imagined scenarios and serves no real purpose. And that's where problems tend to start. Jealousy can cause us to make many cognitive mistakes. One is mind reading. That's when you think she's interested in him without really having evidence for it. Another is personalizing, when you interpret everything in relation to yourself. For example, you think your partner's watching TV because they're no longer interested in you. And then there's fortune telling. That's when you predict the future actions of your partner and, for example, imagine them leaving you. You might have noticed some people are more jealous than others. Researchers are beginning to figure out why. First of all, it may be partly genetic. In a 2013 study, researchers asked 3,000 pairs of Swedish twins about how jealous they felt if they found out their partner had cheated on them. By comparing answers of fraternal twins who share about half their genes and identical twins who have the same genes, researchers found that about a third of the difference in levels of jealousy seemed to be determined by our genes. The rest could be a result of the environment and culture where people are raised. It's also possible that some personality factors, like having low self-esteem or having an insecure attachment style, may make people more prone to jealousy. But you might be the most confident and secure person in the world and still feel jealous. So how can we learn to tame this feeling? First, try to dial down the immediate stress caused by jealousy. Write down your feelings. Pay attention to how jealousy makes you feel. Do you feel a tightening in your chest? Focus on where in your body you feel different. This can help you calm down and be able to think clearly. Identify your cognitive mistakes. Stay away from mind reading, personalizing, or fortune telling. Consider the counter evidence. Think of the good times you've had with your partner and the plans you have for the future together. This practice can put you in a positive emotional state and reduce your focus on only the bad parts of a relationship. Try to identify the roots of your fears. Figuring out what fuels your jealousy will help you better deal with it. It's okay to feel jealous sometimes, but there's a difference between controlling it and letting it control you. Remember that emotions pass, so with awareness and practice, you'll be able to let go of any that are no longer working for you. And as always, if you have any more helpful ways to deal with jealousy, questions, or stories, please leave them down in the comments. And subscribe for a new video almost every Thursday.
Okay, so this video talked about what is jealousy and some influencing factors of jealousy, probably some genes differences, some environmental, personal experiences, and culture, and attachment style, and how we can try to control the feeling and tame the feeling of jealousy. To be aware of what you are feeling now, and to find the counter evidence about your distorted thinking. Okay. So now if we move to our next topic, it's also our last topic in our mental health course. Can you see the screen now? Can you see? No? Okay, let me try again. What about now? Okay. So all of you, like next class, which means next week, we are going to do our presentation because probably 90 minutes is not enough. So we are going to have some groups to present 1 week earlier. So for groups who are willing to present 1 week earlier, please just message me, okay? And you can get some abundance credit, okay? So today we are going to talk about time management and a skill to help you manage your time. So first, what is time management? It's the process of planning the best way to organize the things that you need and want to do so you can accomplish them all. An effective time management is a skill that is learned and, if used regularly, can be improved on. So time management is not something that you know it from when you're born. It's something that you should learn. And time management is very important for college students because in order to be successful, you must balance your time wisely among many commitments such as classes, study time, family, friends, and possibly employment. And especially when you graduated from the university, you go to the society, you are in the workplace, there are so many things that you should do and they can be so overwhelming. It's a very useful skill that you can set the priorities and organize the things you need to do. So here are the 10 ways, common ways where time management can go wrong. The first is keeping too many things in your head at one time. There's no priorities. You just become so overwhelmed and you don't know what to do. So helplessness. And the next is doing whatever grabs your attention next. There's no priorities. You just think about something and you just go and do it. And the third is doing affectionately that which need not be done at all. For example, there is a homework deadline tomorrow, but today you are reading a book, or reading a novel. You're reading it very carefully or very affectionately, but this is not something that you need to do just before the deadline. Probably you are just reading the book to avoid the deadline, to read something that make you feel better. And the first is spending too much time on low priority items, which is kind of similar to the third. And the fifth is inadequate or poor planning. You just go with the floor, go with anything that crosses your mind. There's no planning of your time. And the environment is disorganized or become too distracting. And they're attempting to do too much, become so unrealistic, and think yourself have kind of like superpower. You can finish your assignment in 2 hours, but actually that you can't do it. And when you are in the situation that you only just have 2 hours to finish assignment, you will become so anxious. And that can create a vicious cycle of your feeling. And always say yes. For example, say yes to your friend's request, especially for the request to ask you to hang out with them together, to play games together. And procrastinating all the time. You know there's something that you need to do, but you just decide to put them away and doing things that is totally irrelevant to the things that you need to do. And confusing activity with productivity. Just do too many things, but there are no effective and there's no productive, no outcoming, but you think once you feel like you are engaging something, you feel better, but actually they have no outcoming or very poor efficiency. So you can check these 10 ways in your life and to think about the time management situation that you are in, what kind of situation you are in. So the schedule of this module is divided into 3 parts. First, we're going to talk about how to set our goals. And the second is create the plan according to our goals. And the third is overcome procrastination and just take action. So first, we are going to talk about how to set our goal. In order to know what you should be doing with the time, it is important to know what you are working towards, right? And it will be easier if you have something in mind, you have the goals in mind, so you know the direction you are heading on. And you can create your plans based on the goals you have already set. There are long-term goals, which is the lifelong goals, usually take a year or more to accomplish. And the longest term goals, or like the biggest goal, is the meaning of your life. What kind of life you want to live? What kind of jobs, like your ideal jobs, your ideal relationship, your ideal life. And based on the ideal life in your mind, you can make the long-term goals. And the second is the short-term goals. It's the stepping stones, which takes less than a year to accomplish. To set a goal, you can write a short-term and long-term goal in a paper, and your short-term goal should be a stepping stone on the path to achieving your long-term goal. They are related to each other. It's a very common mistake that we set many short-term goals, but they are kind of irrelevant to your long-term goal. To make sure they're connected to each other and make sure both goals are specific and measurable. There's a very common way to set a goal, but it's also a wrong way. It's like ask yourself, what's my goal in this semester, or what's my goal today? Answering usually is like, I'm going to study hard today. I'm going to study harder this semester. I'm going to improve my abilities or improve my relationship with someone. What's wrong with these goals? There are too many ambiguity. For example, what does studying and abilities mean though? Instead of set some this kind of big goals, some goals with so many ambiguity, just to break down the big goals into specific goals and targets. To make sure that chunks of work that you want to achieve within a given time frame, to make these kind of chunks. So what is a good goal? Here is theoretical structure for what is a good goals. The best goals are SMART goals. SMART stands for S refers to specific, M refers to measurable, A refers to actionable, R refers to relevant, and T refers to time-bound. For example, instead of saying that I'm going to work hard, you set your goal in a specific way, like read chapter 3 history textbook, create mind map of key points in 1 hour. Here's a video clip that can show us how to create a great goal, how to create SMART goals.
Regardless if it is professional or personal, we all struggle sometimes to achieve our goals. Many times, our struggle is not because of a lack of effort, but rather how our goals have been structured. Anytime you set a goal, or if you find yourself struggling while working towards a goal, keep in mind the word SMART. SMART is an acronym that can be used to help evaluate and add structure to your goals. SMART stands for specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, and time-bound. SMART begins with asking yourself the degree to which a goal is specific. This is arguably the most important part of establishing or evaluating a goal. The less specific a goal, the more difficult it is to determine how long the goal should take to complete or how to measure success. Consider the difference between a goal to get healthy versus the goal to lose weight versus the goal to lose 10 pounds. The goal to get healthy is much less specific than a goal to lose 10 pounds. The next question to ask: how is the goal measured? What determines success? Some goals may be best measured by a simple yes or no, such as the goal of climbing to the top of a mountain, while other goals are better measured by using metrics such as the goal to lose 10 pounds. The key to measurement is making sure that in whatever way the goal is measured, it accurately reflects success. For instance, if you do not have access to a scale, then measuring weight loss will be difficult and less accurate. An alternative measure may be to track how many inches you have lost around the waist. But to what extent does this accurately reflect the goal? Without access to a reliable way of measuring weight, we may want to consider buying a scale or restructuring our goal. Actionable is not asking yes or no, But how will the goal be achieved? What is our action plan? Do we have the resources and capabilities required to achieve success? If not, what are we lacking? Well-designed goals provide clarity of action. If the actions required to achieve a goal are unclear, or there are a large number of actions that need to be taken, we should consider breaking down the main goal into manageable, actionable sub-goals. In isolation, any single goal is relevant, but in life we most often are in the process of pursuing multiple goals. A common issue we face is having too many goals at the same time or pursuing the wrong goals. With this in mind, we need a mechanism to help us monitor our goals to make sure we are pursuing our most relevant goals at any given moment in time. One technique is to place goals in a matrix that looks at effort required versus perceived value of achieving the goal. Not always, but most of the time we will want to focus our energy on low-effort, high-value goals. Another technique is to use the Pareto principle, also known as the 80-20 rule. Ask, which are the 20% of goals that will provide me with 80% of my return? The last thing we want to make sure is that goals are time-bound. By including a specific date by which a goal should be accomplished, it helps provide incentive and allows us to monitor progress. Consider the difference between the goal to lose 10 pounds and the goal to lose 10 pounds in 10 weeks. Simply by including an element of time, we can now calculate how much we should be losing each week, and if after 5 weeks we have only lost 1 pound, we can revisit our action plan. Be wary of any goal that is open-ended, such as the common goal to learn a foreign language. Last, it is important to reinforce that goal setting is not an event. It is an ongoing process of action, evaluation, and revision. It is not about lowering goals or standards to ensure success. It is about recognizing goals are dynamic because life is dynamic. We do not live in a static world. Life happens. A goal that is relevant today may be irrelevant tomorrow. When using SMART, stay flexible and motivated by setting aside time to reevaluate your goals on a regular basis.
When I was a kid, I wanted to be.
Okay, this is a very great video talking about how what a SMART goal means and how we make SMART goals. So after we've already have in mind what our goals are, so it's time to create our plans. First, I'd like to need you all to draw a pie chart about how to spend your last 24 hours. Take a few minutes to create your own pie chart. Like think about all of the different activities like classes, studying, sleeping, fitness, work, family, personal care, eating, transportation, hobbies, entertainment, and other things. And to think about your 24 hours, write on the pie chart, and look at your chart and to see in which activities you took the most of your time and in which activities that you took time that more than it is required, it is necessary. Okay. So is there anyone want to share your pie chart and what kind of activities you spend most of your times? Or what's your feelings and thinking about your own pie chart? Is there anyone want to share? No?
It should be a particular maybe day or maybe just one of the days, right?
Yeah, just one of your day because you do different things in different days, right?
Yes.
It can be just yesterday or one of your typical day.
Okay, so for my typical day, I'm a Muslim, so I wake up early. So that's my one. I wake up early so I could pray. Then after prayer, my two is to take a shower, clean my room, brush my teeth. Then my three is to make a schedule for the day, to plan the day, maybe sit and write, depending on my timetable. If I have class, if I don't, I plan on what to do. That's my three. And my four, if I have a class, I'll be going for the class. If I don't, I'll be planning either I'm going to study or I'm going to hit the gym. But mostly I study in the mornings. Then in the afternoon around 12, I take my lunch. Mostly I sometimes don't take breakfast. So I take my lunch in the afternoon. Then after lunch, I definitely will have class. So I'll be going for class. Then after class, I come back, I take my evening prayers, get some dinner. Then evening at 6, mostly at 6 o'clock, I go to the basketball field or the football field to play football or basketball, depending on what I feel like playing. Then after that, I'll be coming back to my room around 8 or 9. Then I'll plan another study for the evening from maybe 10 mostly to 11:30. By 12 to 1 a.m. I'm preparing to sleep, and probably by 1:30 I'm asleep.
Okay, nice. Thank you for your sharing. Like one of your typical day. So it sounds like you spend many of your times on studying and doing sports, right? Doing
Yes.
exercises. Yes. That's a very healthy timetable for a day.
Thank you.
So, and it sounds like that. No, it's better than even my typical day because when I'm free, I realize that I spend a lot of time sleeping. I will not like wake up in the morning. I usually wake up in the afternoon, and that's something that I realize and want to improve. And it's very important to just look back on your days and to find out like what kind of activities that took most of your time. And some activities, they're totally wasting your time, like wasting too many times on TikTok. And it's an app that can really kill your time, right? Sometimes you just decided to spend like 10 minutes in TikTok, but it ends up kind of like spending 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's a very scary app, I find out.
Yeah. But Lashi, from my own opinion, I think that will only happen if the individual doesn't plan for the day the night before or in the morning. So if there's no plan and you just execute the plan like your day from your head, like directly, as in you just whatever comes, we will do. That way you end up with like the individual might end up wasting too much time on other things that are unnecessary and before he or she realizes the day is over. So I think maybe planning the day a night before or the morning is very helpful.
Yeah, you got a point. And that's what I'm going to talk about. To plan your day before the day starts or in the morning.
Yeah.
And there are some preferences in planning. For example, some people will just prefer to plan things earlier to make the timetable. And some people, they just want to go with the flow. And I realized that I'm the person that prefers to go with the flow. So, though I'm here to teaching you how to manage your time, and personally, I'm not very good at managing my time, even if I know many skills. But sometimes it's just like other skills, but it takes effort to take actions, and it needs exercise. And you need to repeat the skills you have learned. So, are you the person that prefers to plan or go with the flow? And your preference will influence how you want to spend your time. And both planning and going with the flow have their strengths, but they also have weaknesses. If you are a planner, you can ask yourself, how do you feel when you have to leave things undecided or make changes at the last minutes? Because planners, they will feel uncomfortable in this kind of situations. And for people who prefer go with the flow, they will feel uncomfortable when they have to account to others for what they are doing and when. And here, the others is not necessarily mean other people. Sometimes they can mean the outside environment. When the environment pushes them things that they have to do, and they'll feel uncomfortable because they would like to. They'll feel better if they can just not making some fixed plan, but just to go with the flow, go with the things that occur them in their mind. And so both of these two preferences, they, like I said before, they have the strengths and they have the weaknesses. For example, having a fixed plan, they can sometimes make it difficult to take advantage of new opportunities, right? And also, if you're at work, there are many situations that you need to be responsive to others. If you have a very fixed plan, you may not be able to plan your whole day. You may not be able to be responsive to others. So you're not able to plan your whole day ahead of time because it will have some bad influence on your work. However, if there are too many things that you need to do, and always going with the flow can make you feel overwhelmed, and you can't set your priorities. You are so unorganized. So the best way is to make a flexible plan, not a fixed plan and not making no plans at all. Just to take the balance between these two sides to make a flexible plan. So what are the good things when we create a plan? Study shows students experience lower stress levels when there is a consistent routine. And a few minutes of planning each week or each day in the morning or the night before the day can make a real difference in how your study time is organized and spent. And when new semesters begin and create a master syllabus within the first week of class is also very important. So like I said before, the best way is to make a flexible plan. And I think we all have heard of Eisenhower, right? What do we all know about him? He's the president of the United States. He's the 34th president of the United States, right? And during his term as the president, he did a lot of things. For example, started programs that led to the development of the highway system, started programs that led to the launch of the internet, continued space exploration, and found peaceful use of alternative energy sources, and he did a lot of things. And during his lifetime, he also did many other things besides being the president of the United States. For example, he was a 5-star general in the US Army. He served as the commander of the armed forces in World War II. He served as the president of Columbia University and was the first supreme commander of NATO. So, how did he do it all? Eisenhower had the same number of hours in a day as us, right? And the same number of days in a year, but he was able to accomplish a lot. So here is the Eisenhower box. It's the tool to help us manage our time. And the name of it, the Eisenhower box, is just from the things that Eisenhower did, because he did a lot of things. He managed his time so well. So it's a time management matrix. It's a very famous one. And another name we have already know is the Eisenhower box. So this box is split into 4 types or 4 quadrants based on how important and urgent things are. Urgent items are those that specifically require the leader. It's you while you are the leader of your life to take action. They're often unexpected and dramatic, and usually require you to improvise using limited resources because of time limits. Okay, I find someone sent a picture in the comments. What happened? Huh. Okay. Huh. It seems like there's some, it's a failure in the network. Okay, we're just going to carry on our class. And important items are those that need the vision, planning, and evaluation. You need to take charge and guide outcomes. So how does knowing each category something falls into drive our behavior? So the first category is the urgent and important things that we need to spend time in to be effective. This relates to our crisis response of the things we must do now. They require you to do now. For example, a deadline for homework or research project, upcoming exams, or other emergencies. And the category 2 is where we spend little time but need to spend more. And this is where we plan, prevent problems, and empower ourselves and others. Ignore these things, we get more crises to respond to in the category 1. So the things that we need to do in category 2, if we don't do them, if you ignore them, they will become the crisis that we need to deal with in the category 1. And to do these things for our personal development, we need to spend more time in control balance and be able to have a balanced schedule and perspective. So by planning these things, you help to meet long-term goals and increase the likelihood of success. So the examples for the things in the category 2 includes like things that can benefit your relationship with significant ones, like learning your skills, reading, exercises, empower yourself. So for things falling in this category, we need to plan it and we need to spend more time on it, be focused on it. And category 3 is the urgent but not important things, like things that are in your face. So we spend time with them. We really assess their importance to our work or life goals. They do not warrant the time we spend. They don't deserve the time we spend. So what should we do with these things? To delegate these things to other people. You do these things together, or to make a to-do list, to organize the things that you need to do, the emergency things but not important things. Items in this category often get confused with the important and urgent category, but these don't lend themselves towards long or short-term goals. So the differences between this category and this category is that the things that is urgent but not important, they don't serve for long-term or short-term goals. They don't serve for your goals, okay? For example, meeting other people's expectations or requirements, frequent interruptions, emails, some calls, or like the housework, washing dishes, doing laundry. So for these things, delegate it and make a to-do list to organize it. And the final category is the wasted time, wasted things that we are sometimes retreat because we are so burned out of doing so much in the category 1 and 3. Just drop them. Entertainment, if it's really needed, if you really need entertainment, there are things important but not urgent, right? But for most of times, the entertainment just serve as a way to escape from the things that you need to do. They are distraction and usually not a good use of your time. For example, just playing games, killing your time on TikTok or social media or YouTube, Netflix. And it's very important to make difference between the things that you do to escape from the task and the things you do that can really relax. And we'll talk about it later, more specifically in the module of procrastination. So, how we plan this? How we plan all of these things? The first is to think about which category they're in, which category they feel in. Category 1, do now. For category 2, plan it and spend more of time on it. For category 3, delegate it, make a to-do list to organize it. And for category 4, just drop it. And spending more time in category 2, which means spending more time on things that can serve your personal development. They can help us achieve balance, vision, and to meet our personal professional goals. So what is the ideal planning? What is the ideal management of time? Is to spend most of your time on things in category 2, to spend most of time in things that serve for your personal development. It's a common mistake to think that we should spend most of our time in things on category 1, in things that is both important and urgent. But the truth is, there are many things in category 1 is the things that we ignored in category 2, right? For example, why you're having a late minute preparation, why the deadline is tomorrow, but it still have nothing, but it still did nothing. That is because the first, there are not things in category 1. There are not things important and urgent. There are things important and not urgent, but ignore them, you procrastinate, and they become things in category 1. They become the crisis you need to deal with. So remember, the key to manage your time is to spend most of your time on things in category 2, to plan things ahead of time and to do them. So how to create a plan? They have 3 steps. First is to make a master term syllabus, which means you have the plan for all this semester, to have a semester plan, and to create a weekly plan, and to prepare a daily to-do list, step by step. First, you have the general plan, and then be more specific, and then to prepare a daily to-do list. So now let's plan for the entire session. To plan for the whole semester helps to not forget about assignments. You can just highlight the deadlines for assignments, the deadlines for exams, to help you remember all these important dates, deadlines, and to prepare ahead of time. And color coding and highlights, they can be helpful. Highlights when assignments are completed. And besides the things that you should do in your study, you can also plan for things that about your family, your friends, your intimate relationship, the important days like the anniversaries, or your friends, your parents, your family's birthdays. To help you remember that. And then to make the weekly to-do list. First, the block of all fixed commitment, for example, sleep, eat, class, practice. And next, highlight available study times. Remember to keep studying to 45 to 60 minutes chunks of time to highlight these available study times, available chunks of time. And finally, add in extra tasks, hobbies, entertainment, and check the box when everything has been completed. So the 3 steps is the first block of all fixed commitments, highlight available study times, and then the last is adding extra time tasks. And then remember to evaluate yourself after the week. Like how much time did you spend studying? Were there any tasks you didn't complete? And how much additional time did you need? Were there any tasks that you hurried through and didn't complete to the best of abilities? And make adjustments for the following week. It's very important to evaluate yourself, like every day and every week. And here's an example of the weekly to-do list. And then next, we are going to talk about procrastination. I have a whole new PowerPoint talking about overcoming procrastination. So I'm afraid that we have to put it to our next week class because it's very whole. And I don't want to just separate it, the content. Okay, so everyone is a little bit earlier, but I'm afraid this is all we have today. And remember that for next week, we are going to start your presentation.
Okay, Laoshi.
You got it.
Okay. So if there are any groups that would like to present your research project next week, just message me, okay? And because you, okay, and because you have 1 week less than the other groups, so you will get like a bonus credits for your presentation, okay? So this is today's class. Is there any questions?
No, Laoshi.
Okay,
me, no.
okay, nice. Bye, have a nice day.
Thank you.
Bye, Laoshi.
Okay, bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Oh, mama.
Class is over.
Sorry, can I use it in class? Right.